And we've been broke, you could ask my fans, but a change won't come like my name was said. Go from chain links to Dave the doorman. Take my best friends to lunch in Japan. Wanna do some good while I fight the men. Name on Billboard, that's my plan. So before it all, baby, here I stand. Pledge allegiance to my blood, can you see my hand? Hey, I know you see me, walking towards that TV, making this look easy. Make this look easy.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hey, Marissa.
How's it going?
Good. Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Of course. I'm really excited to have you. Sebastian is a food and body coach and also a personal trainer. And I definitely want to talk to you about the personal trainer thing today. I don't know why I called it a thing. I definitely want to talk to you about personal training today.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on the food and body coach as well. They're two very different things because not one person is usually doing both, right? We usually find a food and body coach, or we find somebody who's a personal trainer. And so the first one I want to start with is food and body coach. And my question for you is how did you get into becoming a body coach? Do you call it a food and body coach, first of all, or do you call it anything else?
Yeah, no, it was just self-titled food and body coach. And I got into it through the personal training because,
nice.
yeah, I mean, I found that, we did coaching courses. We got ongoing training through my gyms, and I would find more and more that it became often a coaching role. It's kind of like being a bartender, being a personal trainer. They told us that, and I didn't quite believe them or know exactly what they were talking about in our, in the education system for it.
Yeah.
But you spend a lot of time on a very personal level with people. So I found myself just doing a lot of talking or listening rather. And then I really kind of just moved or expanded through that avenue. We had more and more courses and I really enjoyed it. And then, so yeah, that was kind of my introduction. I found the perfect platform because in the gym, it's full of people who are, like a multitude of people, and the coaching came in really, really handy. So yeah, that was kind of my entry in.
You wanted to learn more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a great way. Sorry, yeah.
No, this is you. You go ahead.
No, it's just a great way to get to kind of open someone up and figure out why they're there, because everyone has their reason for being in the gym, right? But then, of course, I would find that we would kind of get deeper into things, and then perhaps we'd spend more time talking in the beginning of the session, and then we'd spend more time at the end, and then it would just kind of flow through the session. And I found that I really, really enjoyed that part of it. I really enjoyed the going deeper than the surface, because it can be quite superficial in gyms. It can be incredibly superficial in gyms. So finding that different level with people was good for my soul, and that's kind of how I jumped on it.
That's really amazing. First of all, this is coming from somebody who's tried multiple personal trainers. It always goes back to your size. It's never really, do you even like this? Do you feel good?
Yeah.
How are you feeling today in terms of your breathing? How are you feeling, in terms of, are you able to lift more now? What is your body capable of? It always goes back to weight and very few want to go deeper. Very few care. It's very hard to find that. So I commend you for doing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we keep going, can you explain to me what a food and body coach is?
Yeah, of course. So basically it's kind of providing, obviously someone to be accountable to, but somebody to kind of, through, conversations, to kind of ask clever questions to figure out where they're at and figuring out what they need, what the journey is, and how we can kind of integrate those concepts, such as, if that's what they're looking for, of course not everybody likes them, but those concepts such as health at every size, and perhaps I really like mindfulness, and intuitive eating pops up a lot. So if they're on board with those concepts, or even if they're not but they're willing to try, then it's about kind of sparking that interest in it, and then perhaps sharing some knowledge on it, getting them excited to find find out more about it. And then giving them that motivation around it. I'm there as that accountability, but really it's about digging with questions. I think it's really, as much as I keep learning about all of these concepts, it's really about questioning people and allowing them to come to their own answers, because of course you've been dieting for any number of time, then you have your own body of experience. And when you speak to someone, or when you ask someone a question and they hit on the truth by themselves, that's so much more powerful than trying to tell somebody what's right for them, because then they come to themselves. And it surprises me, because sometimes I think I know the answer, but I don't know the answer, and they know the answer. So that was kind of a long, a long way around it.
No, that's a good way of putting it. It's true. We don't know. Everybody's different. So you got into coaching through, personal training. And did you ever struggle with food yourself?
Oh, a lot. I think I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. I have to say, I wouldn't. It's true. I think, like, whenever I see people on Instagram, we're always connecting because we've just been, I don't know if traumatized is the right word. I actually think food has been my salvation in my obsession with it, and with everything around it, and exercise, and body image issues, has been like a safety net of sanity, with other bigger things happening, and then just kind of clinging on to that. So a lot, like when I think, like, I'm gonna go deep here, not too deep, but like growing up, I think I had I think it's quite common for guys to be dieting. Now, I know I went to an all boys school, so dieting was big, and you go in the change rooms and there'll be like a few kids with six packs, and there'll be other kids who are fat, and then immediately there's this idea of how you should be and how you shouldn't be. And so dieting began like super early. I remember doing diets from like 13, secondary school before then. So secondary, I don't know what you guys, high school?
Oh, over here, yeah, we have high school. That's like when you're probably from like 14 to 18.
Oh, so what's the one before that? So
Middle school. It'll be like, I think you're like 11, 12, 13, middle school.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so young to I know people start even younger, but that was my experience. And a lot of the guys in my school, we were so dieting, and then that led to a lot of binging, and then after that, it was a series of, I had like this deep desire to be anorexic at one point. I remember just thinking, if I can be so skinny, then I can be, I'm going to be this amazing human being, and be super skinny, and I'm going to look exactly how I should look. And I tried, and I would throw up, and to get rid of the food. And that never lasted. I just couldn't. I felt like a failure by not being able to do that, but it was such a blessing that I was able to not even be able to keep doing those. I don't know if I would classify it as bulimia, but it went on for a while there. And then, so yeah, it's, and then an obsession with, it's kind of described as orthorexia, that obsession with food health. So especially in my early days in the gyms, that was, and that's crazy. That's all around you, like clean eating, whatever that is, and whole foods and all of that jazz. So just kind of dipping in and out of a lot of things, and just obsessed, I think, for a long time. So yeah.
That's a really big thing for somebody to go through. And how do you think it got to that point? Were you all like judged for your body? Did you feel like there was peer pressure from the outside world? Like, what made you think like I need to be perfect?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, I think it was from feeling very, very unattractive. And I remember, I was 19 and I just started university. My face was covered in acne, or I just kind of, um, it just started to stop a bit. My ears used to stick out a lot, and I was just tall and gangly, and just all over the place. My body was it just felt like out of control, and I just didn't. I was very, very bad with girls. So much, and it was like it affected my life so much. I was so shy, and I felt so shy and so I didn't feel seen. I think that was the biggest thing. I didn't feel seen by the opposite sex, um, and it just ate away at me. I felt like incredibly lonely, and I was just willing to do like anything, and very depressed because I was in university and I hated my course. I was away from home, so it was a very difficult time on top of at the end of being a teenager. It was a struggle. Yeah.
That's a rough time, and I think it can really affect somebody.
Yeah. I think a lot of people bring the trauma with them from their childhood into adulthood, and a lot of people. For example, I like boxing, and perhaps I see a lot of people that seem to me like they're bringing a lot of their trauma from childhood into kind of adulthood and trying to compensate for it. And I think in that way, we have a chance to reinvent ourselves when we become adults, and to forgive ourselves. I think in many ways we can feel we're kind of useless as kids. We're very vulnerable and we're very innocent. And then when we become adults, we have a chance to make a fresh start. But I could feel that a lot of my childhood was kind of holding on, trying to grip on, and it felt really good, or it feels good always to remind myself that I wasn't truly in control. I was just going. I had no direction. I didn't really know myself yet, and that feels really good to know that you're just you're just a kid, aren't you?
Yeah, you're learning how to be yourself, and you're kind of like, and then people start, you start comparing yourself, and it just happens. I mean, that's just part of us stepping into the outside world once we leave school, right? Yeah, I know for me too, that was something I felt when I left high school and I started college. I didn't realize how awkward I was until I was around other people the other people I was around for like 4 years, right? You're around all new people again, and it's just like, oh man, I'm pretty awkward. And it's like realizing that because now I'm in a new setting, new people, and
What did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah, like when you had that realization, what was your reaction to it?
I did. You know what? It was a slow realization. I probably didn't realize like nobody was really talking to me. It was really sad actually. Nobody was talking to me. Or if they did talk to me, like I didn't know how to communicate well. So like when they would talk to me, I would kind of just when they did talk to me, I guess I was awkward. And then they didn't talk to me again. So I would see like people hanging out and like groups going to do this, and I was never a part of that. And people looked like me, so I knew it wasn't because of my body size, but it was definitely communication, whatever type of thing. What I did for that once I realized it, I think is I just became more of myself. And I was like, if nobody wants to be around me, then oh well, I'll just stick to myself. And then slowly but surely, I began to like myself more. And then other people around me started to like me too. It wasn't what I was searching for, because by that time I was already like, well, if they don't want it, oh well, you know. But it was nice that I got, you know, I did end up gaining friends from just being myself.
You
Yeah.
can't go wrong, can you? You can't
Huh?
go wrong I said you can't go wrong when you're yourself. Like it's a
Yeah.
foolproof plan, I think, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for sharing that, because I know that's really deep and personal. And, you know, I hope that someone else is able to relate to that, because we all have different struggles with our bodies. And I feel like without that, sometimes it's hard for people to just see somebody and be like, oh, I want them to be my coach, or I want, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think it's important to share those types of things, because, you know, we assume so much from people when we see them. We don't really like take the time to like, oh, this person could have went through this or that. And it's just so nice to hear that. It's very refreshing. So thank you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that.
Another thing that I really like too on your that you share is, this is just, you share this a lot, is you know, loving what you're doing in terms of like exercise, and like, you, and I quoted one of your things, because you said, as long as we treat exercise like a prescription, it's not going to be fun to do.
Hmm. Right?
And yeah, and I just want you to like elaborate that on a little bit, you know, if you can.
Whew, where do I start? It's exercise. It's just gonna get me heated, Marissa. It's such a silly thing. I mean, it boggles my mind because it's just we're just repelled from it. We're just, you know, it's just taken over, I think, a lot by the education system.
Mm,
And I'm not bashing the education systems, even though they can always use improving. You know, we learn that exercise has rules. You know, and we say exercise. You know, when I was a kid, we were just so, and a kid, I mean, like under 11 years old. You know, we would just be screaming to like play, like, I don't know, we call it rounders in the UK. I think you probably call it, I don't know, like softball or something like that. And
okay, yeah.
easy, we like, you just wanted to move in like a fun way. And of course we play a lot of football. You go to secondary school and, you know, they say you need to run this many miles, you have this much time to do it, you need to, you've got your monthly this, your monthly that, you need to hit this target, you know, maybe you have like weigh-ins and things like that, and it just becomes very like, it just becomes a chore. It's another lesson rather than games. And I understand that these are with good intentions that we're given these things. I think that's the beginning of it. And then, if not from our parents, who are probably already indoctrinated in the idea of, you know, they assume that kids will move a lot, but if their kids don't, then maybe they're already passing on, you know, perhaps dangerous messages. Uh, and then, and then when you get to become an adult, you know, I don't know, you start partying, and all of a sudden, if you're playing any sports like extracurricular outside of school, which I think are a blessing if you can do them, you know, they kind of fall by the wayside. Um, and then it becomes the gym, and the gym. I love the gym so much, but the gym just becomes the thing. You know, when you're a kid, you know, my mom sent me to like tap dancing classes, which I hated. And I don't know, I did taekwondo for a long time, and I did boxing, and I did swimming, and, you know, silly things all around. And there were so many games, and games are amazing. Um, they're social often. Um, they just offer you so many advantages, and you're not focused on the result. And the gym focuses on the result, um, and the aesthetic. And the aesthetic is where I really think that most people are struggling with with exercising, because they're so focused on the look, they've forgotten how to play. And
Mm,
a day without play is, I think, is, you don't need to play it through exercise. You can play it through anything. You know, maybe, but I just think that we ruin exercise and so much of it, and then we just get bad associations with it. We start thinking that we have to be healthy, and the only way to be healthy is to go to the gym, and we have to, because we associate thin with health. We maybe even people think, oh, if I go to dancing, I'm not going to get thin. This burns more calories being on the treadmill, and it's like another thing to get into. But we run away with how we should be, air quotes, and I just think it destroys it. And the gym is a great place for so many people, but I don't think the majority of people belong in the gym. I just don't think they know it. My conversations with people, if I say, what do you love doing? How do you love to move? There are some people who never, ever like to exercise. They don't like walking. They don't like being outside. My brother, in fact, even my brother started running recently, but until then, he didn't like leaving the house. He didn't want to walk, didn't want to do anything at all. And there are those people who really, they don't want to do anything, and that's okay. But I think that many, many people who vehemently dislike the exercise that's available to them, I can get out very quickly what they would really love to do. It doesn't take long to see their eyes light up and see what they want to be doing instead of being in that gym.
Yeah. Everybody's so focused on like, it turns into I need to exercise. I need to go to the gym. You need to do this to make your body tighter. You need to do this to make your body smaller. That it takes all, you're saying it takes all the joy out of exercising.
Sucked away, Marissa.
Oh my gosh.
It's gone.
And it's true. It's true. Like after a while, you're just like, oh, I don't want to go anymore. Like it's a struggle to go to the gym. You know what I mean? It's a struggle because it's just like, oh, I don't want to do this because it feels like, it feels like a chore. It feels like work. You hear people say it all the time. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym today. And they have to fight it and push it. And it's like, do you like going?
Yeah.
I hate doing things I don't like to do.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it's like a cultural indoctrination where, because what happens in the gym is numbers and machines, and it's often smelly, and it's what is your goal? Because your goal, most people, like I said, their goals are aesthetics. If your goal is fun, and then you still go to the gym because you find fun in the gym, that's awesome. But if your goal is fun and you go like, how do you want to move? Do you want to be surrounded by people? Classes are a relief for many people. I mean, gyms are convenient in that way that they do offer, it's fairly cheap. Some are incredibly affordable. And it's a quick way to, they're normally on your way home from work, or, they're accessible. I love them. They're amazing. But I mean, many people, if they were able to challenge themselves, they, and ask themselves what they really, really love doing. How did they used to move? What did they do when they were younger? What do they need? Do they need one-on-one? Do they prefer a group setting? Do they want to put like a big sweat on? Do they love intensity? Do they like more slow paced? Are they looking for, something perhaps more, I don't know, infused with more spiritual? Are they looking for something, they want like some music while they do it? What kind of music? Do they like those kind of African beats? Maybe, and then you can start filtering down what they might like. And as well, of course, it's very important, the person who's teaching the class, because you can go and find the perfect class for yourself, walk in, and the teacher might just be, that person might just not be a good fit for you. So there's a lot of variables. It's a lot of work as an adult with a full-time job, part-time job, student, anything, to go and find, you've got kids, you only get more responsibilities, don't you? It's a lot to go and find your game, but I think it's worth it for a lot of people if they're able to invest in some detective work about what they need, or what they would like. Yeah.
I've never thought about that until now, is that, most of the time, a lot of my work was done through food, you know, because you have to kind of dig and find out why your eating habits are the way they are, right? When you're doing like intuitive eating and things like that. And so, or when you're transitioning to intuitive eating, you want to find out what kind of made you eat the way you do, or like, you know, put those thoughts in your head. And I never thought about that in terms of exercise, but you do kind of have to like look back all the way to your childhood and think, where did your love for exercise stop? Yeah.
Yeah. It would be unheard of if the teacher one day said, you're going to stay in today and do extra maths instead of your playtime. You would flip out. You would be screaming at your mum when you got home.
Yeah.
Your mum would be storming into the school. My goodness, you're going to let my child play today. But we let ourselves just become machines. And it's such a shame because we allow ourselves into the mindset that we don't deserve to play, or we don't deserve that time. We don't have time for it. But I think it's dangerous almost if we don't. I don't think there's ever a time when we shouldn't be playing however we like to play. You know?
Yeah. The next question I have is, how does one find a personal trainer that lacks diet culture, that isn't fixated on weight?
Oh, I wrote a piece on it not long ago actually, because I had the same thought as how can people get access, because it's such a useful resource if you're, well, I think anyway, I'm biased, but it's very difficult because of all the people who are wrapped up in diet and culture. Personal trainers are some of the most guilty of it and perpetuating it. So what I think my biggest advice would be is finding a person who you get along with, so in many gyms, the personal trainers are they're quite lovely people, they're walking around, they're saying hello, or maybe they've not said hello to you, but you like their energy. And if you're liking what they're giving out, then you might approach them. And the chances are that they're probably not going to be into this, this health at every size approach. I think it's pretty unlikely, even though, it's things are changing. So, if you have a good vibe with them, then I think from there you can start, you can ask them, these are my goals. These are my goals, have specific goals. I want to enjoy whatever your goals are. You have your specific goals, and you say, these are my beliefs around them. Are you the person that's able to help me? Because they're trying to get your business. If they're a very busy personal trainer, then they may not care about your business. But a lot of trainers who are really, really invested in their craft, they want to build up a good roster, a good clientele base. And they want you to train with them. They want you to be long-term clients until you can do it yourself, until you can go off. So, there are a lot of good people out there who will hear what you're saying. And if they're really, really, they might be willing to learn what you've got. They might be too busy to learn. They might say, look, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. But new trainers are really good. If there's a new trainer, it might be a bit more difficult. But if there's a new trainer that comes onto the scene and they're very eager to get new clients, saying to them, hey, look, this is what I'm about. I've got this book called Body Respect. It's really, really important to me because these are my beliefs. Are you willing to hear them? Would you be willing to read this book to help me? Or maybe having a summary of the concepts, not scaring them away, but, trying to see how willing they are to learn. Because I remember when I first started, I would have been blown away. I would have been so honored that somebody would have come to me and asked me to learn something to help them. Because personal trainers certainly don't know everything. In fact, training is very quick. You can be a personal trainer in a few months and it's done. So if somebody comes to you, most things personal trainers have to go away and learn about and then come back. And it's good to be transparent about that. I'm sorry, I don't understand, but I'd love to learn. So if somebody comes to me with anything and they're like, this is what I need, this is how I like to be trained, they've already answered a million questions for me. If they're telling me how they want to be trained or the general theme. So, if you can be that kind of person, and if they don't like what you're giving them, I think you have your answer.
Yeah.
I think you have it. And it doesn't need to be in a gym either, I love boxing, and maybe you go to a boxing gym, maybe you go to anything. I want to do this. I want to do this game. Are you the kind of person that can accommodate me, my size, my ability? If you're in a wheelchair, for example, can you accommodate me? Are you the kind of club that can take me on?
Yeah.
Everyone would say no, and yeah.
You got to keep searching. Yeah, I think it's a good way of putting that, because we do, when searching, you do want somebody that's going to be able to listen to you, and I think that ties into what we were saying before with, let me hear about you, let me hear what you have to say of what you don't like or what you dislike, so I can hear what your needs are. Because I feel like you just explained it, but it ties into that.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So you have a website.
Yes.
And on there is a bunch of information. What is the name of the website?
So the website is foodandbodycoach.com.
Yes. What can we find on your website?
Yes, I've got a link for a free ebook. It's called How to Love Your Body. And it's just a collection of, mental thoughts that I had about how to, often it's working your way to acceptance. I think that's the first stage. But, things, I try and involve things like gratitude, and defining what you mean by love. I think that's really important, actually. That's something in the conversation that I don't always hear. How do you define love? How do you want to be loved? Then how can you start working towards the way that you need to be loved? Because that's really important, because love is such an ambiguous term. So how to love your body, but how do you need to love your body? And then on the website, I try and any kind of resource that I can get my hands on, I think is super relevant and can help people. I try and put on a resources page, just to act as a kind of a way to network and yeah.
Yeah, there's great stuff on there. I've read some of your blogs and I've watched some of your YouTube videos, probably all of your YouTube videos, and you get something from each one. It's really good stuff.
Thank you.
So go check out Sebastian's page, you guys. Go check out his website, because you will not be disappointed. And you won't be disappointed. And then let's see. And then, of course, follow you on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? Your name?
It's at the Food and Body Coach. That's it. It's short and sweet. It's quite long.
That's where you can find it.
Yeah, not the body coach, because he seems to dominate. The food and body coach.
The food and body coach. Both of them.
Both.
2-in-1 deal. 2-in-1 package deal. Is there anything you can remember that you wanted to share?
Yeah, do you know what the only thing was I was just thinking about the internal voice that we use with ourselves. If there's anything that I think is so precious, if we can begin the practice of speaking to ourselves, with kindness, I think it's a foolproof plan. I think it's just on the way to come back here and to speak with you. I was walking down the street. I jumped off the metro early, and I was like, "You're an idiot!"
Oh no!
Oh, it's so stupid. And then I've done it so many times, just talking to myself. I said, "No, it's cool. It's cool. It just happens." And And it's become such a practice for me now, because if it's never nice if somebody else called you an idiot, you'd just be like, can I swear? You'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I try to make a big habit of not doing that, and I think if we can be really, really conscious of all the things we say, because they wear away at us. And words are so important. And we have to be our own best friend always. No one will ever love us like we can love us. No one will ever be there like we can be there. We're more solid than our own mothers. Not even our own mothers will be there like we can be there. So we have to be, and we have the capacity. Like no one else can love us unconditionally like we can love ourselves. And again, defining what you mean by love, I think a kind, compassionate voice is a solid way to start. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
It's beautiful. I love that. Learning how to be your best friend is like a skill that you constantly have to work on. And I'm speaking to myself and anybody who struggles with this as well. I think we all struggle with it. It's like that little voice that you said in your head that goes, you idiot. And it's like telling that, like, no, things happen, and just to, ease up on ourselves, not be so harsh on ourselves. I think that's a great piece of advice to like give people, just to love themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps with exercise. I mean, my mom is amazing. She's really been in, I think, that cycle of missing the gym and then kind of maybe beating herself up, not going for a long time. But she found, she enjoys it a lot. And so for her, because it's enjoyable to go to, it's a great place for her to be. But then she won't go. And I think perhaps that mental chatter that she's failed and that it, and that self-talk. And lately, she said something to me. She said she'd just been changing the narrative in her head. And I think, if you miss a gym session, or, you miss a week, or you miss a month, how do you talk to yourself then? Because that will define how you continue. You haven't been to the gym for 10 years, you're never going to go, or you haven't been to your dance class or your football class or whatever. How do you reconcile that with yourself, and how do you talk to yourself? That, I think, can make a big difference with how consistent you can be and how much you can enjoy the process, because it's guaranteed that you will not be able to go to every session that you plan to go to. So you have to prepare for it and be kind for when it doesn't happen. And setting realistic goals is what really helps people to stick with whatever discipline they choose. Being realistic means knowing that you won't make it to every session. You'll get sick, you're human, things come up, and it's okay.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're trying to make it a lot more enjoyable for people, which is what we need, right?
Yes.
To enjoy what we're doing. So we're doing fun facts, because that's what I like to do. What's your most memorable concert that you've attended?
That's a great question. I saw Noel Gallagher, and he'd already split up from Oasis, but at the time I was just in love. I was in love with their music, and it was actually in Barcelona. I saw them. I'd come all the way here to see them, and for me it was just so much nostalgia and such good feelings, and that was amazing. And it was such a good setting. It was a really cool club here called Razzmatazz. So, it was close, a small crowd.
I love the small, in the club concerts. They're so intimate.
It was amazing. What's yours? Now I have to know.
Oh, man. I'm going to say when I went to go see, because I was a huge fan of Miguel. Oh, God. But then
I like Miguel.
Yeah. I saw Miguel, and this is like, I used to go to a lot of concerts, and I don't know how, but I would stand at the front for like 2 hours just to make sure I got a good spot, because I would get general admission. So stood in the front and like sang to me, like came down and like, well, not sang to me directly, but I feel like he sang to me when he made eye contact. And then like came down the front and like, he was like, I don't know. It's on my Instagram. If you search all the way to the bottom, you'll see the video I have.
I saw it. I saw it.
See
I
it?
remember saying, yeah.
That was probably the most memorable because I remember like the outfits he came in, and that's when I just was like, oh yeah, I'm obsessed with this artist. Yeah, that was a good one. Good times.
Your one beats my one. I love Miguel. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But yeah, those are the things. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I know the viewers are gonna love it, and yeah, so informative. So thank you so much, Sebastian.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I feel, honestly, I'm so blessed that you would even consider to have me on. So
Thank you so much. Much love to you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
bye.